we had, promos that were saying the next big thing is coming, the next big thing is coming. And this was the next big thing has arrived. So it's right when he first started with WWE. And I'd not met Brock Lesnar before. So I'm going to try to paint this picture so a viewer or listener can imagine this. But I like to wait in the hotel lobby when a new talent that I'm working with is arriving. So I'm waiting there for Brock. And obviously, you can tell it's Brock Lesnar. It's somebody special. He's a huge human being. So I approach him, and I want the fans to, put themselves in my shoes. And I see this big guy, and I said, "Hey, Brock Lesnar." And he turns around to look at me with this glare. So it's kind of like that mean glare that he has. And here's a huge, intimidating guy that's just a genetic freak. And it was kind of intimidating, kind of scary. I'm like, "Hi, I'm David Sahadi. I am directing the shoot with you tomorrow." And he just looks at me and just nods his head, doesn't say anything. So I'm, again, a little intimidated, a little bit scared. And I write down my phone number, and I said, "Brock, here's my phone number. I'll meet you in the lobby at 11 and personally drive you there. And if anything comes up or you have any questions, just give me a call." And that was great. The next morning, I got a call at about 9 o'clock. And he said, "David, it's Brock." I said, "Hello, Brock. I have a little situation here." And I'm thinking that he's going to cancel out on the shoot for some reason.
Sure.
And I said, "What is it, Brock?" And he goes, "My girlfriend was over last night, and we had some red wine, a couple of bottles, and she got sick and she vomited all over the place. And she broke a bottle as well. And I'm just afraid that the management here at this hotel is going to kick us out." We had a great boutique hotel whenever we did shoots down in South Beach. It was off the main strip. And I was friends with the manager and the staff there. So it was a very friendly environment. And I said, "Brock, don't worry, you won't get kicked out. I'll make one call and I'll take care of it." So I went downstairs. I talked to the manager, who's my friend. I paid him a couple $100. And then Brock gets in the car and I said, "Brock, there's no problem whatsoever. When you get back after the shoot, you'll have a brand new room. Your other room is cleaned up. Nobody knows anything." He's like, "Thank you so much." So that was the first time I saw Brock going from that mean, menacing glare, just, being like friendly. He knew that he could trust me. That did him a favor. And there's a side of Brock Lesnar that most people don't know, but it's kind of like this little innocent boy that just, wants to be liked and, is like very calm and very soothing. When you're with Brock in real life and, you gained his friendship and his trust, he's not threatening whatsoever. He's very soft-spoken. And I like that about Brock. So that was my first impression of him, going from being scared to like being liked by him. When it comes to the shoots, we did the shoot in a warehouse. And I told you once before that I love shooting in warehouses because they all have a different story to tell. And when you see a big athletic guy in one of these warehouses, it makes him look, incredible. This was a warehouse that was really a building that was modern, but it was gutted out to be repurposed and reconstructed in different ways. So you had these white concrete beams and, sliders and these posts. So it was kind of a modern gutted out building. And it was during the day, it was sunlight. And we actually had a lighting machine there as well, too, because even though it was sunlight, it wouldn't look as good as it was at nighttime with The Undertaker when it's dark. It's like the white lightning flashes would like light up his face a little bit. And on the intense ones, you'd get 5 to 10 frames of whites. Now, for a viewer, frames are fractions of a second. There are 30 frames per second. So 10 frames is 1/3 of a second. And what these white flashes did was they made great edit points. And my gosh, I mean, seeing Brock in his prime, 25, 26, just standing there, his body was all like oiled and glistened. Just it looked tremendous. It really did. And he looked like, this biggest, large-in-life superstar. So we're done with the shoot. We get back to the hotel, and he's very grateful. And we decide to go out to dinner. And my dad is there as well as my producer, just the four of us. And we take him to Smith & Wollensky's. And he's very relaxed. He trusts us all. He knows that we had a great shoot that day. And Derek, what an appetite this guy has. I mean, I've never seen such a voracious appetite in my life. And he could really consume a lot of calories. So I think for dinner, I'm just trying to guess the size. Sure. It was either a 3 or 4 pound T-bone steak, the biggest one they had. They said, our lobsters come from 1.5 to 4 pounds. He goes, I want the 4-pound lobster. So he has a surf and turf. He has 2 shrimp cocktails as an appetizer, salad, and 2 sides of mashed potatoes. And he ate like it was nothing. My dad really liked this guy. My dad, was a sports writer, and he saw like the side of Brock that was an incredible physical specimen, a tremendous athlete. He can tell just by looking at him, but he really liked Brock's country demeanor, low key, calm. Brock can be very charming if you want to. So my dad always loved Brock Lesnar. And then here's a funny story. Brock and I go out later that night after dinner. We do a little bar hopping on South Beach. And, it's like I'm with Brock Lesnar. Just met him 24 hours ago. Just finished the shoot today. But I feel kind of like it's a big guy. When he gives you that menacing look, it's just like nobody's going to mess with him whatsoever. Yeah. So we go to the bar, and I'm waiting to get a drink at the bar. And somebody like comes over and starts to nudge me and give me an attitude. And I turn to the guy and I give him an attitude back. And then all of a sudden, Brock Lesnar comes up. Boom, looks at the guy. Okay, I'm going to pretend I'm Brock and you're the guy. That menacing look. And he goes, is there a problem here? And the other guy just melted. He saw how intimidating Brock was, and that he could probably break him in half in less than 2 seconds. And said, no problem. And he quietly walked away. So the first night, I'm kind of like, oh, yeah, I got Brock Lesnar as my bodyguard, man. It's like I can be cocky. I can like a pick fight if I want to. But it was just like, reassuring to have that guy there. It's a funny little story, but it's just, when you're with Brock Lesnar and he's your friend, it's like you feel like, nobody's going to harm you whatsoever or even mess with you.